Your computer can have a fast processor, a powerful graphics card, even plenty of storage, and still feel slow. Apps hesitate, tabs reload, games stutter for no obvious reason. The problem often isn't the CPU. It isn't the GPU. It's the silent middleman doing all the waiting. It's memory, more specifically DDR RAM. And almost nobody understands why one version feels smooth, while another feels like it's stuck in traffic. Before we break anything down, here's the simplest way to think about RAM. Your storage is a warehouse. Your processor is a worker. RAM is the table where everything gets laid out. A bigger table helps. A faster table helps more. DDR RAM is just different generations of that table, each one designed to fix the problems of the last. We'll walk through them in orders. Why they appeared, what they fixed, and why some upgrades felt amazing, while others barely mattered. DDR1s. The first DDR RAM arrived around the year 2000. At the time, computers were changing fast. Windows was getting heavier. Early games were moving into 3D. Single-core CPUs were doing everything alone. The problem was simple. Memory couldn't keep up. DDR stood for double data rate, because it sent data twice per clock instead of once. Because of that, speeds doubled without doubling cost. That was the big win. Early DDR ran a few hundred megahertz. Tiny by today's standards. But it felt fast back then. The weakness was heat and instability. Push it too hard and systems crashed. This was the era of beige towers, dial-up internets, and computers that needed restarts just because. DDR1 worked, but it was already hitting limits. DDR2. DDR2 showed up in the mid-2000s. The problem it solved was efficiency. DDR1 was fast for its time but sloppy. DDR2 ran at higher speeds while using less power. That mattered as laptops became popular. Because of this, systems ran cooler, and manufacturers could push higher frequencies. Speeds jumped into the high hundreds, then past 1000. But latency got worse. That meant more waiting per request. This confused people. They upgraded RAMs, saw bigger numbers, and felt no speed difference. That's because DDR2 traded reaction time for bandwidth. Good for multitasking, not always great for single tasks. This was the Windows XP and early Vista era. Lots of background processes. Lots of "why is my PC slow" moments. DDR3. DDR3 arrived around 2007. This is where memory stopped feeling like a bottleneck for most people. The problem now was balance. DDR2 was fast but inefficient under load. DDR3 lowered voltage again, improved stability, and tightened timings. Because of this, systems felt smoother. Not just faster on paper. Speeds moved comfortably past 1600. Capacity jumped to 8 gigabytes became normal. This is where a major myth was born. People thought more RAM always equals speed. But once apps fit comfortably, extra memory did nothing. The real gains came from SSDs. This was the Windows 7 era. Photoshop, HD video, early streaming. DDR3 lasted a long time. Because it didn't just fix problems. It stayed out of the way. DDR4. DDR4 launched in the mid-2010s. The problem now wasn't basic speed. It was scale. More cores, more threads, more data moving at once. DDR4 increased bandwidth significantly, while keeping power usage low. Speed started around 2133 and climbed steadily. Latency didn't improve much at first. That's why early DDR4 upgrades felt disappointing. Here's the common mistake. People upgraded RAMs, but kept slow CPUs or old storage. As a result, nothing changed. DDR4 shines when everything else can keep up. Modern CPUs, fast SSDs, heavy multitasking. This is the era of Chrome tabs. 4K video, gaming while streaming. DDR4 became the default because it worked everywhere and rarely caused problems. DDR5. DDR5 arrived recently. The problem it aimed to solve was throughput, not responsiveness. DDR5 moves a lot of data. A lot. Speeds start where DDR4 ended and keep climbing. Because of this, it feeds high-core CPUs better, especially in heavy workloads. But there's a catch. Latency went up again, just like the DDR2 transition. That's why early DDR5 didn't feel faster for gaming. Sometimes it felt worse. Another myth appeared. DDR5 is always better. Not true. DDR5 shines in content creation, large files, simulation, future-facing systems. For everyday tasks, the difference is subtle. This is the Windows 11 era. AI tools, background services everywhere. DDR5 isn't about today. It's about what's coming. Now let's stop the history lesson. Because here's the real question. What is enough? For basic use today, DDR4 is more than fine. Paired with a fast SSD, it feels instant. For gaming, capacity matters more than raw speed. Once you have enough, returns shrink fast. For creative work, bandwidth helps. That's where DDR5 starts making sense. And here where more stops helping. If your apps fit in memory, adding more RAM does nothing. If your CPU is slow, faster RAM won't save it. If your storage is old, RAM upgrades feel invisible. RAM works best when it's balanced, not maxed out. Today, DDR4 is still everywhere. Because it's affordable, stable, and good enough. DDR5 is the future. But it's still maturing. Older systems keep using DDR3 and DDR4 because software allows it. And replacing everything costs money. That's the real reason. Not performance. Compatibility. Choose RAM to match your system. Not marketing charts. DDR6 is already being discussed. Higher speeds. More parallelism. Smarter memory controllers. But the pattern won't change. Each generation trades something to gain something else. That's how memory evolves. DDR RAM isn't about chasing numbers. It's about removing friction. When memory matches the system, everything feels effortless. When it doesn't, nothing feels right. Now you know why some upgrades felt amazing, and others felt pointless. Now you know how DDR RAM actually works.